Yeah, perhaps you're right there.
I have some questions. When the women that were kneeling, the people that were left standing, is that because kneeling is unavailable to you, or that was part of the choreography in particular?
It was difficult to kneel quickly enough to come up and come down, and to do it gracefully.
Beautiful choice. It's, you know, the right choice.
And it also then allowed the choreographer to give us that layer.
Okay, so it served multiple purposes. You know, Indigenous work like that is so soft in its attachment to the earth, treading so softly. It's, that in itself takes quite a refined movement. So to tread so softly is another skill, is stamping firmly. So that would be something that is giving support around your structures and balance structures. Indigenous work often can have the knees very, very bent. I don't know, this piece and the choreography had you a little bit bent but not massively flexed at your knee, and I wonder if that was in respect to the fact that I too have 80% grey hair, but I colour it a lot. You should only go so far in joints. Is that part of the decision with choreography, or is that is the choreography? And when I'm talking about when you guys are sort of here, or is a lot of Indigenous work will be lower?
But for the women?
Yes.
Sorry, okay. So when Tammy made it, she definitely made it for elders.
Yes.
But when Tammy is moving as well, she only has, there is this, and it can be really low, that tends to be much more male.
Right.
Because actually with Luke's solo, and with the men, it was very much about, almost like a demi-plie, not fully turned out, but like gently turned out, and they're here. There, I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay. But when the men are dancing, that's when they're low, and they're like hit the floor together. And you saw the young chaps, and the older men do that as well.
Yes.
But from what I've seen of female Indigenous dancers, but also when Tammy was working with them, she was here. And when I'm working with her as well, this is where she is, as opposed to lower. And also I should just say structurally, it did start with the men, and then so it was very much a spiritual process as well. But just feeding back in that, I have a feeling that it was about working with elders, but also about very much a female way of moving. Because Luke's solo is really, really kind of down and low and much more physical than legs in that context.
Well, and movement is good. That's what I keep coming back to, but it looked like that all looked really quite soft and respectful into your postures, was really good for balance. A couple of you at the end I saw balance challenge, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's a good thing, keep working to your edge and challenging those things. So if you have that little, you almost go too far forward. This is good to keep challenging that. It's good to keep pushing. When you're on the floor and respect to the grace with which you lowered down and with which you came up, it's good to get your knees and your hips in those positions. It may not feel that sweet at the time, but you would probably have found as you rehearsed that it goes one of two ways. You start to ease into it and it starts to feel quite nice in your joints. You might not look forward to getting up in a hurry, but or those of you that were there and you're like, I have to modify this. I can't sit with my feet here, maybe I need them out further. Was that part of it too? Like working respectfully into your own joints?
Actually, can I ask you how you found the process? Were you having a little difficulty in the position even tonight, in the kneeling position?
Not so much, but they more that position.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of holding your body. Were you finding that effort to hold your body while you're in it? No, it was good. It was all right. No, that's good. Okay, great. Yeah, I was just interested in that. I just wondered whether that and where you'd come from, if that was the case. But you were finding that quite straightforward. Great. Yeah, because there's some lovely. I think again working the aesthetics into the level of what you're performing worked really quite wonderfully, and probably speaks to how much you can. You can work in a genre where you're moving slowly compared to maybe some of the other genres we've seen here tonight, and it really works really wonderfully in that aesthetic. And I agree with what Ros was saying. The fact that getting down and getting up may for someone coming into the group initially be quite difficult. It's quite interesting to see. If you take your time with those people over a period of time, that they improve in those capacities. So you know, it's worthwhile to explore that, or to encourage participants to explore that part of the body. I know Phil will, you know, make everything quite safe in that way as well, but it's an interesting concept, because sometimes we try to, and there's a big message sometimes out there in community when you get to a certain age and you start to, you know, walk a little bit sort of securely, that you should take it a lot more easily. And I think, Ros, I hope you agree that, you know, that's not really the message that we'd often like to get across, because there could be a whole pile of reasons in health why people might lose balance or lose flexibility or versatility in the body, and 9 times out of 10 that can be brought back to a far greater standard, and sometimes even greater than what you had before anyhow, you know. So certainly that's a sort of a message to get out amongst your friends and that sort of thing in regard to that, that there's, yeah, you don't give up till it's given up time, you know. But that was fabulous. I love the aesthetics, and coming from North Queensland, I've seen a lot of the women dancers, been in places like Laura Dance Festival and that sort of thing, and that was a really, I think, just a wonderful, respectful sort of dance in that genre. That's fabulous, yeah.
There's also, sorry, just to quickly, it was really lovely that the work was made for and premiered in the Kimberley Gallery at the National Gallery. So we were incredibly lucky to be able to work there. But and interestingly enough, we bought the scarves when we came up to Cairns that time.
Oh, right.
But yeah, aesthetically it worked really, really well. But there's something about performing it within and around the artwork which actually makes a difference to the way one performs as well, and just kind of standing and general posture and the way you breathe and so on.
Yeah, there's another aspect of the advantages and the payoff for something like this is where it's just come to me, it's advantageous to, and I've built my professional career with working with sport mostly, and I say this with no disrespect to sport, but perhaps more respect to dance and arts, because it utilises a lot more facets. Watching you guys watch your own limbs, process that short focus and attention, watching your focus when it would be, your vision would drift further away with a particular, I'm sure that it was in your choreography that you were particularly meant to do that, so you're going from short focus to longer focus, short focus to longer focus. You're using your peripheral senses to coordinate and your movement with other people around you. In sport there is an anticipation that comes from that, but with something like dance there's that unified energy of which you have to use multiple senses to be able to do that from within your own being, and you have different capacities to move yourselves as individuals. This is a reality with us when we're young and healthy, let alone as we start to get older. But a dance like that, you'll like so many of those other skills that is actually more likely to refine and regain you that capacity that perhaps is diminishing a little, and also that ability to communicate with others in a way that you go to your level and level of comfort and communication, and then there's probably a little bit nudging or pushing into getting deeper into communication, and then finding where your limit lies to be able to move and communicate. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's so many other senses that you're using here that if you were riding a bike or going for a walk, you're not going to use, and this uses it so much better. One
of the things which might be of more value for your coach as well is that sometimes we lose the neck movement as balance becomes a little bit problematic. Regaining the neck movement, which is really regaining the vestibular spin in the inner ear, can be done in safer ways than twirling around on the floor. You know, you can actually do it from the position you were in, where you're down there, you know, where you can actually just be safely looking a lot more. And some of that stuff that you were doing out there, which was just wonderful, and it just struck me when Robert was mentioning it, is such a wonderful start to actually just getting that separation again of the neck from the rest of the body, and then you can work with that, because once you find in one position low down in your centre of gravity that you're doing that quite fluidly and maintaining some maybe other coordinated movements, you can actually bring that up a little bit, you know. So to bring it up to this position and play with it a little bit is an enhancement on that process, you know, and so forth. until you know you can turn much more maybe fluidly. You might find over time that you're actually turning the head and moving the body and that much more fluidly anyhow. I've had an 83-year-old man dance with me, and you know, euphemistically I sometimes think it's dancing, but you know, in a large space, even moving backwards in that large space, he literally would almost fall just in the thought of it. But after time working with him, he could actually do that. And what happened was when he was moving in other ways, it was much more tall. You know, he went from this to actually standing up a lot more, and you could feel in his body how all of a sudden he was walking, you know, again. So, yeah, there's just, you know, at that age even, there's lots of room for great improvements, yeah.
Great. Thank you.